out, and he said, oh, it's going the wrong way. So it's just a matter of pulling the walls out, twist it, put it back in, and make the motor go down. So it's a quick fix. Once that was found, we had proper return plan. All right, let's get out of here. Next section. Some people are so used to gray noise that when you saw their honey in it, they know I put up the fence.
Oh, no way.
Oh, it's just people that work in the building, they can tell when the unit's off because they're just so used to hearing the hum, the gray noise.
Ready, I'm going to hide in here because I got no lights.
Okay.
My operator is neglecting his duties. Never mind. Anyways, as you can see, this is the room, or we call the mixing room. As you can see, like I said before, fresh air is on top, return air is at the bottom. We got this octagon type with the curve in the vanes, so that it's actually when the air is going curve, it's actually giving it a small motion, and it's mixing the two airs to give it whatever temperature is required for the air in the unit, and a percentage of how much of each one we need. We actually do have a wire going across this, which is telling me what the temperature is that we're supplying into this air handling unit. Okay, so obviously if it's 16 degrees, this air handling unit is just running like a little kitten, and then everything is running great. But once it starts to get too cold, it's too hot, then we're adding heat and cooling if we needed it. So, second filter. Here's the pad filter. What's it called? Pad filter, which is a 24 by 24 fiberglass pipe filter. This is about 2 inches thick. These ones get changed every 3 months automatically, because we have a company that comes in and does it, and that's how they make their money. Making it by changing the filters. And yes, once upon a time when I first started working here, we did it ourselves. Did I change it every 3 months? No.
No money.
If I look at these filters and I go, oh, you think, oh, they're dirty, that's it, they're done. These are not even half done yet. There's still another 2 or 3 months out of these yet. When they start to go to like a, what we call like a filter of dirt on it, that's when the filter is really doing its job. Because there's actually a little bit of an oily gel kind of coating on them, that's grabbing that dirt. It gets to the point when it's too much dirt, then it's time to change it. Right? But because the company that comes in, that's how they make the money, they will change them anyways, if they're that dirty or not. 3 months, get them changed. Unfortunately, the other bad thing is though is snow and rain becomes your best friend. Because if you're doing your own filters and it rains a lot or it snows a lot, keeps the dust down, that's often you have to do your filters. So, yeah. But then there's the summertime. There is enemy number one, which is the white fluff.
Yeah.
Pollen, dandelions, all that stuff that is floating around in the air. It's been actually been pretty good lately, because the first couple of years when I started working here, I remember changing all these filters and they were like spanking white. And then a week later, we lost static pressure. And I'm like, how can you lose static pressure? They're clean filters. And I look through the window and I'm looking at the filters and they're absolutely white. That year we had a really bad pollen year and it plugged my filters within a week. So I had to, basically, is to save cost. If you actually just take the corner of the filter, you can actually just peel it off. Okay? A little bit more life on your filters.
No wonder they kept you around.
Unfortunately, I will admit, do wear masks if you are doing filters. It is a dirty job. So if you got coveralls, wear them too. Okay? So I get pad filters. These are about $1.50 each. So it's about almost 100 in here. So when you got 300 air handling units, it's a lot of coin. I figured our budget for filters is about $500,000.
Wow.
Nice.
Just filters.
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, huh?
Just for a filter.
Lot to
Yeah.
it, man. Lot to it. Oh, that's your water mesh. Second filter right there. The water mesh is
Oh, sorry.
this is your second filter. This is probably your third.
Okay, so this is the third and final filter. We call it the bag filter.
Bag, yeah.
These are about $35 each. These get done about it, depends on how badly they fly up. Like I said before, if there's snow and rain, as long as there's less, you can get 2 years out of them. If it's dusty, dry season, you maybe get about 18 months. Typically 18 months is the norm, but I mean, like I said, you can get really rainy and you had a good winter, and then you can get maybe an extra 6 months out of it. They are expensive. I mean, $35 a pop. So, anyways, this is why those bag filters.
Oh, wow.
So, and it's different sizes. This one is 24 by 24 by 24 long. Okay, this is actually what it looks like. So, this is what I can see. Good way to look at these if you're doing them yourself and you're realizing, we usually just get a flashlight and just go down to the back. If you still see pink down in the back, it means it's back. Once you can't see pink, then it's time to change the bag. But I mean, I would say you wouldn't want to do any more than 2 years. Okay. It would take 4 guys to change these in 2 hours. Maybe an average of how many things it takes. When I was doing them, there was 4 of us, it would take us 6 weeks to do an entire canvas. Then we got 6 weeks to do our maintenance. They said we didn't have any coaches anymore. It was like. Alright, behind you is our coils. As you can see, they're right from the top to the bottom, from the front to the back. This is the heating coils. As you can see, like I said before, this is 20 years old now, and you can start to see we're starting to get a little bit of a coating on them, where you can see a little bit of fluff and stuff. So within the next year or so, we're going to have to probably clean these out. So I'm saying we've never cleaned these yet. So I mean, that's 20 years without having cleaned. That's pretty good. So I just like to point it out that I mean we're going to have to get basically a pressure washer. I don't think even a pressure washer. Probably a garden hose with a tap is probably enough pressure to clean your coils. Because if you got too much pressure, then you're going to bend all the fins, right? So we're probably going to do that probably this summer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So take a look at these coils, and when we go into the other room, take a look at those coils. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Next room.
Next room, Josh.
Working. Okay, so be careful. There's hot bars in here.
Oh, it's hot.
Jay-Z impersonation.
Okay, just be careful of that bar. Getting close. What? Be careful.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Sure.
So As you can see, that other set of coils, how dirty they were compared to these ones.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you how well those bag filters work. So with the, like I said, with the pad filters, they get most of the dirt, but those bag filters, they get all the dirt that that real fine dust. And believe it or not, we are supplying 100% clean air into the building. But the dust does not go through those bag filters. But it does not stop odor, bacteria, or any smoke or anything like that. It does not stop it. It will stop the ashes from the forest fires, but it won't stop the smoke from going into the building. And yes, we've had people call us up and saying, I can smell smoke in my building. I'm like, yes, that's because BC's on fire. So.
Yeah.
As you can see, we've actually got the humidity working. The hot bar that you see is where the humidity is coming out. This is what we call a type of superheat humidity, which is done by steam. There's actually two sets of layers in these bars, where the steam is going through one layer, which is then superheating the second layer of steam, which is actually taking the moisture out of the humidity, so that when we're supplying humidity into the building, we're taking the wetness out of it, but we're still giving it moisture enough that it gives the building humidity, okay? Otherwise, if you didn't do that, and you just had straight steam going into the building, well, then you're gonna have lots of mold and mildew going into the building, and that's why it's designed this way. This is what I prefer. There are other kinds of humidity systems out there, is when they just got a bar going across and have filters, and they just drop water into the filters, and then it just goes to the drain. I don't like that system. I just prefer the steam system, but that's just me. That's just, you know, everybody's different, okay? The other thing is, I mean, I know, like I said, it's hot. If you are going to touch something that is hot, use your back of your hand to test it, because it's quicker to pull your hand away than it is to do it this way. Okay, ready? All right. Humidity, is it important? Yes, it is. It does make a big difference to comfortableness in the building. You're going to have two rooms exactly the same size, getting the exact same amount of air. One is getting no humidity, and one is getting humidified. Both of them are at 21 degrees, and the chances are the person that's getting humidity will probably feel more comfortable than the person that is not. Okay, so it does make a big difference with the humidity working properly in your building. Okay, I mean, I know most places that you can probably go work for and say, oh, it's just humidity, we'll fix it down the road. You just keep harping on them to get it fixed, because it does make a big difference. Okay, I mean, it's just night and day when the humidity is not working. Okay. Let's see.
Do we have, does anything, do you dehumidify in here?
There is no equipment here that needs dehumidified. So, Calgary is a humid, not a dry climate during the winter time. Anyways. I know Ontario is very humid, and they probably do have dehumidifiers. I've never worked in Ontario, so I really can't say anything. I mean, we did have a dehumidifier when we had the ice arena here, but it's gone now. So I'm not saying that we won't get another one when they build the new arena. So,
okay.
and it's basically all it is the air going through what we have this wheel that goes around like this, and the gas, natural gas has got a red flame, and as the air goes through, it dries it out, and that's how you dehumidify the air. So it's actually pretty cool. When I did see it, because they just put it in, I think 15 years ago, after I was here for about 3 or 4 years, and I saw that get put in, and I saw how it worked, and I was like, oh, that's how they do it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Alrighty, let's leave this run, and then we go to the last and final room.
I found most people are pretty damn tall. That's good here.
Alright, so this is the last and final room. Sorry about the lighting, it's slowly. It's gonna need replacing. Just tidbit information. See these fluorescence bulbs that are in here?
Yep.
They're done at the end of next year. You can't even buy them anymore. Yeah, they'll stop making them. So everything is going to go to LEDs. And Sage's got a shit ton of these. But they're eventually slowly working their way through. Alright, this is the last final room. This is what we call the supply room. Is obviously we're supplying the air. It's gone through the whole process, being cleaned, cooled, heated, or whatever is needed. And then it's thrown down to the 3 duct shafts. So you got the 3 duct shafts, which is obviously go down to those 3 openings that we got on the return side there. So, so by the time everything is being processed, it should be 16 degrees in this room. So, I mean, even though I know that we've gone through all this process of cleaning, and I'm saying how nice and clean those coils are, I really don't know why this room is so grey and dungy looking. It's clean air that comes into this room, but it's just, I don't know if it's because of the equipment that's in here that keeps it. So, but anyways, alarms. There's several alarms. I mean, obviously there's the filter alarm. Filter alarm is just based on static pressure. Once the static pressure gets to a certain point, it probably turns around and says, well, you need to change the filters. I don't rely on them. I use my eyes to keep an eye on my filters. And if I feel that, even though I know the guy's coming in here every 3 months, if something happens and all of a sudden my filters need to be replaced, which does happen, because if we do get a bad forest fire, and we do get all that ashes, it will plug up the filter. So you need to. That's why you need to look at them. Okay. So we'll just call them in and they'll change them out because it's money in there. So that's the filter alarm. We do have a freeze alarm. You can see there's a little box on top of that opening there. There's a little white button on that box, and you just push that to reset your freeze. So if it got below 4 degrees, it will trip the unit off. Because we don't want cold air going into the building. So once it gets below, we'll trip it off. Has it ever happened in this particular air handling unit? No. Because we have a luxury of a nice big shack over top of it, keeping it nice and warm. Are there air handling units out there that doesn't have that luxury? Yes. There are lots of them on the roof. And yes, I am out there at -30 trying to get the bloody thing to run. So it is a pain in the ass. But job, that's why we're here. Like I said, push the button. Obviously, once you push the button, it will start the unit up, and everything is back to normal, and everything is fine. Back in the good old days, it used to be you push the button, you go to 100%, and you try to get out of here before the door slams in your face. But somebody decided to come up with safety. So safety is now a big thing. Well, BFDs also makes it a lot easier because when you start the BFDs, it just ramps up nice and slowly, which gives you plenty of time to get down off your ladder and out the door before it ramps up. So, safety-wise, they're now outside. You never really will see them inside the house. I don't know why they did in the 50s and 60s, why they did it that way, but I wasn't born. Yeah, I was. It is. Now they're outside. The only one thing I will mention about freeze alarm, just be careful. If you're in a very, very old building from the 50s and 60s, chances are it's 120 volts. Okay? These ones are only 24, so it's not too much. And the other older ones, there used to be a little lever on top that you just push down, and with the 120 you use your pen. Push it down on the lever. Don't use your fingers, because we had one guy that did it and he blew his hand off. Well, he blew his hand off, he burnt his hand. So, needless to say, the next day they were all changed to 24 volt fuse alarms. So that's freeze alarms. Next one would be smoke. If there's any detection of smoke in the air handling unit, that obviously would trip the unit off. There used to be where the round conduits you see in the ceiling. We did have a little bit of issues with the humidifier in this unit, so we had to put it down into the ductwork so they could tripping it off. Okay. The other thing I like to point out is by the light over there, it looks like a big thumb sticking out. That's your humidity sensor, sensing how much humidity that you're sending into the building. It's the return side of the humidity, that's the important part. I can send 100% into the building and I really don't care. It's what's coming back from the building is what I care about. Typically, here, it's about 35%. That is not the rule of thumb. Because wherever you go and whatever they tell you is probably what they want. Some people like 40, some people like 30, 20, it all depends. That's the other thing about humidity now, it's getting to be calculated as well, based on how much humidity is outside and all this kind of stuff. I'm not going to say it works great because I really don't know. Other than I like to see if I want 35%, I want 35% coming back. And yes, I've had calls, people saying, I got too much humidity coming into my room, and I'm like, but did you look outside and it's raining? You can't do nothing. So it happens.
Why do you care about the one on the return?
Because the return is more being the comfortable part of it. So when you're at 35%, you know the building is like the comfortable mode, like you're pristine. So if it gets below the 35%, you should be making sure that you're supplying humidity into the building. Okay. So as long as the humidifier is working and the return 5 is at 35, so when they actually program it, it should be on the return side. It's just there to say how much am I sending into the building. That's all it is doing. Okay. One quick note about freeze alarms. Sorry, actually, this is wire going across these poles that you can see right here.
Yeah.
That's telling me the temperature of the air, temperature of the air going into the building. So I'm just going to use this wire because as you can see up top, same kind of wire up top there. And you notice I got all this wire with a freeze alarm. All it takes is 1/4 of an inch to trip a freeze. So we had one air handling unit which was on the roof. It wasn't a bad, it's not like it was a small one, it was a nice size one. I mean, not too big, it was a bit smaller than this room. But we had a door right here, the freeze alarm was doing this around the coil, and the freeze alarm was sitting inside. So I would open up the door because it's tripped, and that's the other thing is once an air handling is tripped, your heating should go to 100%, even during the summer. It was nice and warm in that trip, so I reset it, the unit would fire back up, 5 minutes later it tripped again. So I'm looking at everything, trying to figure it all out, and it actually worked out that when I opened up the door, and I noticed that the freeze alarm was right here, there was a nice crack in the insulation. So when these units run, they will try and get air from wherever it can, whether it's through the door, even though I had all the louvers here, sucking all the air into the air handling unit, they still were trying to get it. So that crack in that was hitting that little bit, and kept dripping. So just keep an eye on the insulation, especially on the smaller units, especially with the freeze alarms, because you do not want to be out there at -30 trying to get the thing to run. So. Alrighty, and that's it. That's all I gotta say, other than being a build-it operator. It is a fun job. It is, to me, we get to play with toys, and it's just equipment that's, we work on and keep it running. So, and the other good thing is, if an occupant pisses you off, you can go to the computer and turn the room down.
Yeah.
You pay back in a bit. No.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Oh, we keep trying to give it back to us, but we're saying if you need to get 2 guys, you're talking 140 grand. Whether they got 2 guys,